Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you all for being here. Welcome to stop number 2 of the New York Big Wave Talk series. My name is Will Hallett. I have the great honor of being up here with these fine gentlemen. Today's event features world-renowned big wave surfers Andrew Cotton and Will Skudin. Let's hear it for Will and Andrew. And we are here all for the benefit of the Surf for All Foundation. And before I go any further, I want to make sure we thank our sponsors that make this all possible. Coastal Kombucha, as well as Dirty Taco. Great food tonight, right?
Yeah.
Dirty Taco right here in Rockville Center. So terrific. Surf for All is a charitable foundation dedicated to providing surf outings and surf lessons to many people who otherwise might not have the chance to enjoy the beauty of the ocean and experience the passion that we all share for surfing. Surf for All was initially conceived to serve teenagers, young adults with developmental disabilities. In recent years, the organization has expanded to provide programs to those with autism, cerebral palsy, hearing, vision disabilities, as well as working closely with the Wounded Warriors Foundation. We want to thank all of you for being here and hope that you'll continue to support Surf for All and give generously. If you are watching this on Facebook Live and you'd like to donate, please go to surfforall.org or simply search Surf for All Long Beach. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's featured guests. To my left, Will Skudin, for good reason, is very well known to us locally. He's gained fame around the world for his relentless pursuit of the biggest waves. A 2019 inductee into the Nazare Surf Wall of Fame, Will has been seeking out big waves for practically his whole life, taking on Mavericks for the first time at just 15. Amazing. A renowned 16. Okay, yeah. I gave you a little extra credit.
Yeah,
there you go.
I should have just went
with it. A renowned water safety expert, Will has multiple entries in the annual Big Wave XXL Awards, and this past February, along with his event partner Andrew Cotton, placed third in the Tudor Nazare Toe Surfing Challenge. Yeah. Welcome, Will. And to my right, European big wave pioneer Andrew Cotton is a legend in his own right, having first taken on the big waves in Ireland's west coast and going on to become one of the most recognizable and important figures in big wave surfing today by challenging everything, and I mean everything, Nazare, Portugal had to give, and then going back for more. Just amazing. We want to think about Andrew's career arc as just nothing short of remarkable. And besides being a regular on the World Surf League Big Wave Paddle Tour for many years, his feats at Nazare and other big waves, he's heavily featured in season 1 of the HBO documentary series, The 100-Foot Wave. So if you haven't seen it, I encourage you all to basically look that up on HBO. It is terrific. 6 episodes. You'll love every single one of them. Guys, thank you very much for being here. It's terrific to see you both. So, I talked a little bit.
Scotty just, the 100-foot wave just got nominated for an Emmy.
Woo! Yeah. Very, very nice. So, a lot of, everything about the 100-foot wave, sort of circles around this tremendous wave at Nazare, Portugal. Could you guys, Will, Andrew, could you sort of just describe Nazare for you, what it was like, the first time that, you heard about this tremendous wave. You fly, Portugal, you get off the plane, you travel over, you walk up onto this cliff and you look out. What the heck was going through your mind the first time you saw it?
Well, for me, it was a funny, obviously, at that point, I think I was in Ireland at the time, and it was Garrett on a phone call with my toe partner Al Many, and he was just we were trying to get him to come to Ireland, and Garrett was trying to get us to come to Portugal, and in the end, he sort of persuaded us to come down and help him out in Portugal. And I can remember he was sort of saying, can you drive the ski in a beach break? And I to be honest, I'd never driven a ski in a beach break, and we sort of said, yeah, we'll be fine, we can do it. And it was a pretty interesting couple of days spent with Garrett. I'm sure Will could tell you more about what it's like spending 2 days, with Garrett on a jet ski when you're sort of learning. Because at that point, I very much was learning. Like I was sort of a wannabe big wave surfer.
You became much more than a wannabe by now, my friend. So, Will, what was it like for you that first time stepping off and taking a look and seeing this place?
It was definitely a lot different than Cody because I got to see what they did before me. Cody's a pioneer, first person ever to tow anybody into Nazare ever. I mean, how many people are on the planet right now? 8 billion people. Mm-hmm. There's only one person that ever towed somebody into the biggest wave ever. And
but
it's pretty sick. I mean, so I was like the second crop to come over, get invited over. So I already saw what they were seeing. Me and Cliff were like, oh, that thing looks weak. It looks like we could paddle it. And when we showed up there, we were like, it was huge. But we were still like, I don't know, man, we could probably paddle this thing. And we learned the hard way that that beast does not want to be paddled. Yeah.
I think I think you gave it a good go.
We definitely gave it a
Cliff, right?
We those first few years we wanted we really wanted it's like the tallest like wave where there is, or what it seems like there is, an entry. So it was like, oh my gosh, like you can maybe paddle an 80-foot wave here. And at that point in our lives, like that was like, you couldn't get that anywhere else. So me and Cliff were just like, this is the spot to do it. So that when we showed up, it was big and it was scary and we saw it, but knowing that we had like the team underneath us to get it done, that was like, all right, we could do this. But then once you go in the water, like no matter what, it's the most magical thing standing on the cliff to see it and how loud it is. And it's like the Madison Square Garden of surfing. It's just the most incredible thing. I recommend to anybody in the world to just, anytime you can, just get on a plane and just go over there and just look at it. Even when it's not big, it's just an incredible place in the world. So you get that, like they call it mana in Hawaii, and you feel that energy there. It's like the eighth wonder of the world. So yeah, it was incredible when we first stood up there. Getting in the water though, that's when the fear really was like, whoa, all right. So yeah.
So a lot of water moving around and
way more water moving around than when you're looking at it from the, like, insanely terrifying. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you sort of wrap it back then, we're talking about, what you guys are doing now, but what kind of got you guys to this point? Like, how did you even, how did you start surfing, and what was your draw into big waves? What made you want to be like, okay, I don't want to just surf that little wave. I want to surf that wave up there.
Yeah.
How did that come about for you?
I think it's there was no point in my surfing which I sort of was like, okay, yeah, I'm a big wave surfer. Like at what point does a wave become big? Like I can remember, as a kid growing up, like 3 foot was massive. Like petrifying. So for me, it's just always been a natural progression. I always wanted to be a really good technical small wave surfer and do contests and win contests, and that's how I wanted to be a professional surfer. I wanted to be a contest surfer, and the dream was always to either a QS or that sort of route. But my strengths just lay in different things, and I noticed that as the waves got bigger, I sort of became more confident, and where my friends were absolutely kicking my butt in 2 foot, like the playing field leveled out a little bit. And you do things that you love, and I was like, okay, yeah, I love like being frightened and scared and feeling that fear, but also, I love going in straight lines. It was like, it was like a really rewarding straight line, and so yeah, it's just you sort of keep doing it, and I never in a million years thought it would be like a full-time job or or take me to places, you know, where it's taken me, you know, or meet the people that I met, you know, never in a million years.
Like all of us here in New York.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
Yeah. Like it's crazy, you know. Like I'm, you know, thinking back, like I think what you know, like when you get into your like late teens or your 20s, and you sort of think, like I kind of like almost thought I can't get any, you know, not give up on surfing, but like I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to go, you know, like actually do anything in surfing. And you sort of like, not, like you don't give up on it, but just like don't believe in the dream anymore. And you know, big wave surfing and the people I met, and sort of, you know, everyone sort of motivates you and pushes you and inspires you a little bit more, and you realise things can be done and things are achievable. And you know, like it's a trip. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it.
It's awesome. So, Will, you and I have known each other for years. I mean, I can't even remember. You know, it's been so long. I have never, ever gotten to ask you this question. Where did the motivation come from? What drove you to want to ride these massive mountains of water chasing you? Where was that born?
Beth Skudin.
There you go.
That's where I was born. But yeah, I mean, I was really blessed to grow up in a surfing and swimming lifeguard family. Without that foundation, there wouldn't be anything to grow on. So the seed was planted. But I think I was like, for me, I've always been pretty calculated to a certain extent of like the chess game of life, right? And I kind of was like, it was I met Laird Hamilton when I was young. I was 12. My dad like told me that he was at Lido West. I ran down there. I met him. So I saw that the guy on the videos is a real person. So that probably was something. But it was when I was training a lot. I was a very competitive swimmer. I can hold my breath for a long time. I was in a really, really good shape. I got second in East Coast Surfing Championships, so I knew I could surf against guys. And then I read an article in Surfer Magazine, and it was about these guys surfing Mavericks, and it was about like, you know, they were like partying hard and surfing Mavericks. And I was like, well, I'm not partying hard, and I can hold my breath for a long time, and I could swim really well, and I could surf. So if they could do that, then I'd probably be better than them, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But in my brain as a young kid, I was like, there's no difference between me and these people, except like, I feel like I could do it maybe a little bit more calculated. I showed up and figured out that these guys are really talented, and I got sucked over the falls my first session at Mavericks, and I learned really quickly and got humbled very quickly. But I think I saw that there was a route. Like growing up here in New York, there was nobody that did this. I don't know, Cotty, similar for you, right? There was nobody really from the UK. No.
Well, big wave surfing, like growing up, was in Hawaii. You know, like I my first few surf trips were to Hawaii. You know, like because that was like.
Was there anybody in the UK when you were coming up like kind of Almeni, right?
Yeah, well he's Northern Ireland. There's like local legends and local surfers which, you know, pushed it, and they're always out on the biggest days at home. But yeah, there's no one really professional or you know, doing it as a job, or
like
really
nobody took you under your wing.
No. It was you kind of like definitely the early, you know, like Al was a great partner in crime because he was very motivated, very driven, very focused, and he loved big waves. But we kind of just made it all up as we went along, you know, like we got a jet ski and we didn't know how long the tow rope was. We never had any sled, no safety. No, we used like, I think it was like an old kayak vest, you know, like as a flotation, you know, like just really, really, you know, like now you'd be like, well, you know, like it's reckless, you know, like it was reckless. It was reckless.
We were kind of just that's kind of like, so they, yeah, like, so I felt like we kind of, that's a funny thing for me and Cody is like, we were both kind of hitchhiking on this whole thing. Like I resonated with that, with you just because I was like, we didn't have, there was New York surfers that have, you know, in the 1920s, like, I'm not 1920s, 1960s, the New York surfing was huge. Ricky Rasmussen, national champion, 1974. You know, like New York surfing has been going on for a long time, and there's no questions that there's been some legends surfing Waimea from New York. But like, I think me and Cuddy just didn't have that like guy that like, I was talking with Greg Long the other day, and like he had like that community that really grabbed him. He was like the young kid of a group, and like, you know, it was like for us. So like that brings us to Garrett. So I don't know about you, but like when I met Garrett, that was like somebody that wanted to go out of their way to help me.
So
that
for
was
everybody,
like, whoa, it was like, oh my gosh, like.
So you're referring, for everybody watching and listening, we're referring to Garrett McNamara.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so that was kind of like, I was 17 years old, and I when I met Garrett, and totally hitchhiking, I heard about a trip going to Cortez Bank. I was 17 years old, like, and I flew over. I left like high school and flew across the country. Didn't drop out, but left for the weekend, and went to my friend's dorm at University of San Diego with a gun and a thing, and he picked me up from the airport. And then West Lane called Garrett and said this kid might show up to the boat ramp. And I show up to the boat ramp. I'm 17 years old, and Garrett's like, "Are you the Jersey kid?" And I'm like,
close.
I'm like, I was so nervous and scared I couldn't speak, so I just nodded my head, yeah, like this. And he's like, "Okay, $500 and grab those gas cans." And I'm like, and I had some cash, because I knew it was going to cost money to get on this trip. And I handed him $500. He just grabbed it, put it in his pocket, and he's like, "Grab those gas cans." Next thing I know, I'm walking like 50 gas cans onto a boat. And then I come back, and they're like about to leave. I'm like, "Oh no, I got to get my stuff out of the car." So they're like, "Oh," so then I run back to the car, and my friend's like, "Dude, what took you so long? I got to get to school." I'm like, "He made me load the thing." And he's like, "Get your board." So I walk on the boat with the boards, and Garrett's standing there like this, looking at me. I'll never forget this. And I walk on the boat with my boards, and he goes, "Oh, what? You plan on surfing?" And I'm like,
"Yeah,
maybe." So like, but then like, this is the best big wave surfer in the world. And then when we got to Cortez, I'm just going to run through this quick, but when we got to Cortez, it wasn't as big as everybody was hoping, right? So he's like, "Jersey boy, Jersey boy, Jersey boy." I'm like in the back, like kind of seasick. It took like 50 hours to get out there. He's like, "Let's go, get in, let's go. You're going to be the first to go left at Cortez ever." I'm like, What are you talking about? He's like, because nobody else wanted to surf. So long story short, he towed me around for like 4 hours. It was glassy. It was like 25 to 30 foot faces. Wow. And then after that, our relationship, like Garrett, no matter who you were, and if he saw that you had a spark, he went out of his way for you. And he did it not just for me and I think for Cody, but he didn't care who you were, where you were, who you were, where you're from, who your uncle was, if you were a hitchhiker from New York or UK or whatever. He literally just said, "You love this sport, let me share this with you." And then there's just not a lot of people like that. So that was like, like Gary, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Gary McNamara.
That's amazing. All right, so all of this involving Garrett, and of course, you've had your famous stuff that you've done with Garrett along the way. But how is it that the two of you end up together, at the Tudor Nazare Challenge? How do you two meet and become friends and end up working together as such a great team coming in third at that contest back in February?
I just think, big wave surfing is such a small community. You end up meeting the same people, going to the same waves, same swells. So yeah, you cross everyone's paths at some point, and I think it was probably maybe Ireland, on the west coast of Ireland, was probably like the first sort of times we crossed paths, and then obviously Will started to come into Nazare like 2013, I think, right around then.
I heard about Cody.
Yeah,
Like, he's so chill on land. And, like, I heard about you. Like, I was like, everyone was like, oh, yeah, he's all mellow. And like, wait till he gets in the water. And, like, not aggressive in the water. Still mellow in the water. But, like, there's something wrong with Cody in a good way, man. So, like, when we're out there, like, when he's surfing big waves, like, he just go, it's a different, like, what I see his eye, the way he looks at me in the water, it's just, he just goes code red. It's crazy. Amazing. Like, he's a different human. And there was a talk about Cody amongst the big wave world. Like, everybody has this, like, there's a little under the ground thing. But yeah, Cody was like one of those people that everybody would talk about, be like, the guy will never, the most humblest warrior in the world, but when he gets in the water, he sends it like crazy, like drawing the craziest lines ever. And I always looked up to that. I was like, like when I was like, I was always a fan of surfing. So, and then getting to witness that and be a part of that, like during those heats and seeing like the intensity of it gets, like it was cool to like really just like see the other side of the real Cody, And I'm blessed.
And who had a better front row seat than you? You're on the ski. Yeah. Got him right there.
Guy's not scared. It's fucking nuts.
You do get scared, but I think, like, it's just when you want something so much and when you love, like, it's like, we're not surfing big waves for the money or the fame. It's passion. Like, you're there because you love it. And it's been, it's like I come from North Devon, England. There's waves, but it's kind of like it's consistent, but it's not epic or big, or you got to really want it. You got to go out your way to make it happen. And I think, obviously, you can hear from the story, that story with going to Cortez at like 17. That's an example of like going out your way, wanting it. And yeah, I had the same thing. Like, I really wanted it.
So yeah, I mean, you really absolutely have to want it. I mean, you're going to go out, and it's going to be this mountain of water that is now going to chase you. So that brings me to what I've always wondered is, like, I know what I get like when we get a little bit of hurricane swell around here, and it's going to be head high and a half. Big deal compared to what these guys do, right? I can't sleep. How do you guys sleep the night before? Seriously, how do you possibly sleep thinking about this when
what
you
is your
know
ritual,
it's going to...
Cody? You have a ritual? You got to do anything? I just know I don't eat fried food. Because that's all I know, because I throw up in the morning every time.
I don't know. Like, I find it's funny you said, like, at the beginning, like, I didn't sleep and, you sort of stress in. But over the years, I've got more and more comfortable and like more good routines and nice steady breathing and sort of more meditation. And I think, like, now I prepare myself way more. Like previously, like in the beginning, often like there'd be a swell on the chart. You'd be at work. You'd like frantic phone calls. Can I get work off? Then it was like, okay, how can I get there on time? Then you might get there like literally. If I was going to Ireland or Portugal, you'd be like, okay, well, I'll get there like that morning. So you come off like you'd be knackered. You'd be, like the preparation. It's like I can't even believe I surfed some of the times. Like often in Ireland, you'd be sleeping in your van. You drive there all night, sleep in your van, be freezing cold. So I think in those early days, that preparation was just it's non-existent. Like it was, the sleep was bad. I don't know how we did it.
We were young and we
So
now we're just going, oh man, I don't know how many wipeouts we can handle now, but yeah, That's crazy, yeah.
So it's a lot different now, though. I mean, you were talking before about how, you'd go out and, whatever flotation device you could find, you just sort of threw on. Safety has come like such a long way. Can you let everybody sort of in on, what goes into the safety meetings that you guys have, and how safety is run at a place like Nazare to allow you guys to go out there and surf these mountains of water and come back in alive and feeling great about what you did. What are those safety meetings like, and what goes into all the safety stuff?
I was talking to Greg Long about this, and he mentioned, like, he's like, yo, Will, he's like, we were like the golden years of big wave surfing. Like, he was like saying it like, it's over. I'm like, what he meant was, he didn't mean it was over. What he meant was, we had the opportunity to surf big waves for the first part of our careers with no safety at all. And then like my first 10 years of been riding big waves for 20 years now. So my first 10 years, there was literally slim to none, no safety. And then the last 10 years has been embracing this technology and the safety and the communication. And it allowed us to, go through that. And like there was a tour, and now there's not a tour really anymore. And, we got to really, come through that time. Now, if you come into big wave surfing and you don't use the safety, you're putting other people at risk. And you want to use the safety because it drives progression, and it's not like the right thing to do to not use it. But so it's like it's a weird situation, right? It's like we just got lucky when we came up. Like when we were born, we just got lucky that we had to swim in from Himalayas with a snap leash bareback with no jet skis. We got to Cliff got a 2-wave hold down in Mavericks. He was underwater for like a minute and a half, no life vest, hit the bottom. I hit the bottom in Mavericks, like hit the bottom at Jaws. Like we were surfing, like, we were swimming and surfing. Like the growing up, it's like you look at the ocean, and if you're not comfortable swimming out and back in, you shouldn't be surfing it. And that's like what mom and dad and my family always taught me. Like, you look at the ocean, if it's 50 foot and I know I could swim out past those waves and back in, then I should be surfing it that day. But if I'm not confident swimming out past those waves and back in, then I have no business being on a jet ski, on a board, or anything. And like that was kind of instilled from the beginning days, right? Because we knew we had to swim in. But now it's kind of changed. You don't really, you can wipe out and go get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a hard-boiled egg off the jet ski, reset, drink some coffee, and paddle back out. You know what I mean? So it's changed, and it's beautiful because it's driving progression. I mean, me and Kadi witnessed that firsthand, the progression. But yeah, that's kind of, the safety is great.
But it's interesting. Like, I can remember the first few times I've been in Hawaii when I was probably like late teens. Like, you'd be at Waimea and not a single person had like a flotation vest or anything. Like, not a single person. And now, like, I haven't been in Hawaii for a few years, but like 2016, 2017 or something, when I was there, like, pretty much everyone had a Patagonia float suit on, or like, you could probably count the people on your hands that didn't. Yeah. So it's interesting that everyone's now starting to use that sort of stuff, and it does give you confidence, and it does push progression. But yeah, it is interesting to say what like maybe people do rely on it too much. Like maybe it is good to have gone through that of surfing without it and not rely on it too much. But I've had some shockers.
Yeah, even with it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That thing almost killed me once, and Puerto Escondido popped.
Yeah.
And filled with water.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so it's like, now I'm swimming in with an anchor. So,
yeah,
like you rely on the safety, but, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, Nazare, when we go to find each other, this is the thing with Nazare and other waves around the world. It's really the coolest thing about Nazare. Well, the difference. Like, has anyone, like, when you snowboard, a mogul hill? So if you were to fall on a mogul hill and you're laying down, and someone's at the top of the moguls and you look down, you probably don't see that person. So a lot of waves and reefs around the world, they break on a shelf and the whitewater rolls on the shelf. And when you're driving a jet ski, you could see the surfer 100 yards away because it rolled across the shelf. So like pick up like at Mavericks and Jaws and driving safety at Chopu and all these other places that I've drove safety, and I'm sure Kadi has it. Like it's kind of flatter. It's still whitewater, but it's flat water. At Nazare, it's moguls. So you don't know, you can't, like the guy falls, and that's why we have communication with the cliff. Because I was always like, when I first got there, I'm like, why is somebody radioing down to like, we just see the person and get them. Then I realized there's 10-foot moguls, so you don't even know, can't find the surfer. So they just disappear. And we were paddling a few times when we were paddling in the beginning days, like you just lose somebody because you can't find them. And then you next thing you know, they're on the beach and you're like, oh, that must have been a hell of a swim. You know? So, I mean, I don't know. You kind of, I guess you kind of came up in Nazare, so.
Yeah, the communication thing, you know, and I don't know, like doing safety. For me, like the surfing sometimes has always been the easier fun bit, you know, and when you start doing the safety and the rescue stuff, it's like it's an important part of surfing, I think. And there's not like, you know, we both do that, you know, we both drive the ski, we both surf, and I also am happy to spend hours just doing safety for other surfers, you know. But there is a lot of responsibility with that, and I've had good and bad experiences with that, you know, like just this last season, one of the bigger swells, CJ, he went down on a wave, and we had 2 spotters and we had 3 safety skis, and he was missing for 5 minutes. 5 minutes with that many people looking for him. Yeah. And
only at Nazare.
And yeah, like honestly, like it went through. I think like that's probably the most traumatized I've been, like surfing. Like it's more than any surfing injury or wipeout that I've ever had was actually doing safety, and you're missing and you can't find them, and you like the responsibility, and like, you know, you have people looking for him on the cliff. There was like, sometimes you can go, oh, communication was bad, or, you know, there wasn't enough safety guys. But when you have like 3 skis safety, you had 2 spotters, and you can't find someone, you know, like that was it was a long 5 minutes, you know, like a really long 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
What happened? He broke his.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he went down on the first peak.
Uh-huh.
He went down the bottom. He fell. And then he got hit so hard, and luckily his vest malfunctioned and it went off itself.
Wow.
But it looked, when we got to him, he was like way down the beach, like he drifted way down the beach. So that was also like a lucky thing, because we thought he'd gone towards the cliff. But he went down the beach. He was like halfway down the beach. I thought he had snapped his sort of arm between his shoulder and his elbow, but he had dislocated his elbow, but it was sticking out through here. So like, you rescuing him, and like I was like, oh my god, like he snapped his arm. Like it was a heavy morning. Like I really, like, you know, I was pretty shaken up.
Wow.
Yes. And that's just one of the 100 stories.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like, you know, what we've all heard is that Nazare is really about teamwork and the value of the spotter. You know, even when you guys are surfing in the contests, like, you know, we do contests here in Long Beach, and there are contests everywhere. And whenever I've had the honor of calling a surf contest, one of the unwritten rules is you don't call out the oncoming set for the surfers in the water. You just don't do that if you're announcing. But at Nazare, it's completely different. You've got spotters up there that kind of have to. Is that because the peak is so shifty? What is it about, or is it what you were talking about before, Will, that it's just sort of all over the place, and there's really no way to do this without a spotter kind of helping out, at least for that, even before we get to the safety part?
I don't know. Like I think it goes. two ways. For me, it's nice to have just information. You know, like I don't like I always feel, and I think me and Will both feel the same way about this. I don't know how I'm talking to you or not, but like at the end of the day, if I'm driving the ski, I want to choose my own waves, and but it's nice to know information. Like, the sets on the second peak are looking the best, you know? Because sometimes if you're in the water and there's like 2 or 3 peaks and you're like focusing on first peak, you know, like you're like, okay, right, no, the inside rights on the second peak are looking the best. Like, you know, that's where you're going to get it. So they're not actually calling always like the wave, you know? It's just information which you're trying to process. And as a, you know, you as a surfer, you're trying to like still put, you know, I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. I mean, I broke down after the first event.
Yeah.
You saw what I was saying. Yeah. I was tripping out.
Yeah.
I was like, why? I can't do this. Like someone in my ear trying to tell me like which wave to go on. You know, I kind of had a little meltdown.
Yeah. But
what was I saying? I was saying,
no, you feel
repeated.
but it's like as a surfer, you feel like you're in tune with the ocean, and you have to get into that flow. But that information, like of knowing what they're seeing from up there, is really really handy. But yeah, I don't think like they're calling specific
waves.
You
that
know,
was where like they're like go on the second wave, and then I'm like, nah, man, this one looks the second or the I have I love that like surfing is a rhythmic sport.
It's about flow.
The flow.
It's about
like,
getting in flow.
Very cool.
Like they're like this one, and I'm looking at it, and they're like go, and I'm like, that thing is ugly looking. You know, like it has bumps in it. It's ribbed out. I'm like this one go. I'm like. You know, like all right, fine. And then like I remember one time I was on the mic and I was like, I whipped him into it and it turned it to be a bad wave. This is in a heat, and I remember being like, was that the one? I'm on the radio. This is like towards the end of the event. This is the first event before we like the second event. We did a lot better. We made some changes, but I'm like, was that the one you wanted me to go on? And I was just being like kind of acting like that, like being childish, kind of, you know. And he was like, yeah, sorry, that one didn't look that good. I'm like. Yeah, but like I'm like, yeah, I love the information, but like just tell us the set's coming, and then we can. And so the next event we had a talk before, and like me and Cotty did this for years without people telling us which waves to go on. So I think we're like, yo, let us know where the rips are opening up. Let us know where the best waves were the heat before. Give us information, and then like give us like everything we need, and then we'll find the rhythm with the ocean.
Yeah.
And then that's what I feel like we did so well in the last event.
But that it is nice, like having, like if you put in someone on a wave, and often driving the ski, you lose sight, but having someone telling you he's going left, because sometimes you put someone in, you don't know whether they're going left or right.
Yeah.
So you're guessing. And then like having someone say he's gone left, he's surfing, oh, he's fallen. That is like invaluable.
Yeah, that's the game changer.
Yeah, like
when you know somebody fell.
Yeah, so I think that's where like, you know, it increases safety, and you know, and then it means you can just end up sort of surfing more waves and sort of being more in tune. You know.
Yeah, the knowing if somebody fell, because we would have no idea. So then we're in response mode. You're able to get them before the next wave. Where if you had to watch it yourself, then they would probably get 2 or 3 waves on the head before you got to them. So that's kind of, that communication is crucial, you know, for safety, definitely.
Cool. So we're in relative off season here for big waves. How in the world do you train to surf 60, 70 plus foot waves? What goes into an off season for you guys, or even in season? You know, what's sort of the rhythm that you have to get into for that? You know, is there something even besides the physical stuff? Is there mental stuff that you'll do to try to keep yourself, ready to go out and take that challenge? Because to me, it always seems like, you know, you're sitting around, then all of a sudden you're facing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. You know, it's
kind of what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think, you know, like you don't just start training to surf 60-foot waves. I think that training started when we were like 15, 16, you know, like, so So yeah, it is build up, like a slow build up, and I don't think there's any like fast way, to speed that up. And I think it's really good to like progress, but in slowly. I think that's kind of a healthy way to do it. Surf, just for me, like training, like I love swimming, surfing, cycling, keeping fit. So that's it's just, I don't know, like there's no like real sort of program or anything like that. I just want to be fit anyway. I want to be fit and healthy. So.
I avoid New York bagels and New York pizza, and try to keep up with the little kids on the beach. Yeah. And I think that's been whipping me into shape. It's crazy because like I'll do some swims before camp and some paddles with Uncle John. But
keeping up with Uncle John is a challenge all by itself.
Good luck with that. You're better off surfing in Nazare. But for the most part, for me, the summers are just working and just being in the water all day long with the kids and just like moderate. Like as you get older, you just got to be careful like what you're eating. I didn't believe in that my whole life until I gained like 15 pounds being home for 2 weeks. But New York is just nuts when it comes to food, and we all know that. So yeah, just Cotty found out real quick, right? But yeah, that's it for me. I mean, always I like to do some breath work before the season starts, just to make sure I'm at where I need to be with my lungs. I think that's important. And it helps the brain, and then also visualization. Visualizing.
I think having set goals helps, but not like often in the past, like you have a goal and it can be too much of an obsession, but like having like the big goal, but then nice like steps, for each swell that you want to achieve. I think that's pretty good.
The breath training stuff always fascinated me, that you guys could actually endure Clifton with that 2-wave hold down. So I imagine that lung capacity and that breath training has to be sort of a year-round thing. You just can't let that go and expect it to be there when you need it. So
you can not do it for a while, and then
ramp
you
it
can
up.
get it back to where you want it to be in like a week or two. Like, believe it or not, it's a lot mental, but you can kind of get your lungs back to where they need to be in I'd say about 2 weeks. But I don't know if big wave surfing, our bodies, if a big wave surfer were if a big wave surfer were to drown, this is the cool thing about big wave surfing. As long as you don't get knocked unconscious or whatever, we're trained to keep our minds at ease and to chill and wait, to come up. And we have this mental state that we go to, at least everybody, that we know to chill. And no matter what, we know we are never going to fight to try to reach the surface. We'll wiggle our way. We'll have little things we do, but we'll never burn oxygen or panic or fight to come up. So if a big wave surfer ever were to pass away, you didn't really drown. When you think of drowning, you think of drowning. We actually just were relaxing and chilling and waiting, and then it turned off. And to me, that's like going in your sleep. That's the mellowest way. Think about it. Your heart was never racing. You were waiting, and then God just decided it wasn't time to come up. And for me, I think that's just kind of sick, because if you ever hear of a big wave surfer going down, that's a trained big wave surfer, they never fought for their life. They didn't drown. They just peacefully wiped out and just waited, and they didn't come up, and it turned off, and that's it. So there's no it's not like what you would think drowning is,
Yeah, that's like the amazing story from Riding Giants of Mark Fu, where the doctor that examined him looked down and said, his countenance was remarkably calm and peaceful. He didn't look like somebody who had drowned. That matches up exactly with what that doctor described all those years ago. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're not fighting for your life. You're You're not really drowning. It's just your time to go.
So taking it from the end of life and now bringing it back to the kids that you get to work with on a regular basis. So you're in the water all the time. Kadi, I understand that you were out with the kids this morning. You got to see them on the beach.
It was yesterday morning. Yeah,
it was yesterday morning. I knew I saw the picture.
Yeah.
So
he was being a kid yesterday.
You were being a kid. Oh, that's great.
At the wave pool.
Yeah.
He was turned into a 12-year-old with his girlfriend Justine. They were trading waves, and then we shot to the camp.
And then you shot to the camp. That's great stuff. I mean, we've got some kids here in the audience today, and I look out, and I've often said this, Will, you and I have had this conversation, that it's very possible that the next great surfer coming out of New York is one of these young girls that are just, there's so much phenomenal talent. And I wonder what it means like to both of you guys to look out at Nazare and see somebody like Maya Gabera doing what she's doing, and Justine Dupont doing what she's doing. What does that mean for the sport? And what do you think that says to the audience and everybody watching on Facebook?
Yeah, even Kadi's girlfriend Justine's been getting some bombs.
Yeah, like do you know like with, I don't see.
Oh, she's smiling back there.
I don't see that there's any difference between, I don't know, like I don't see Justine Dupont or Maya as, I don't go, are they a girl, they can't do that, or they go, they surf, it's not as good or better as most of the blokes. They drive jet skis as good, or if not better than most of the guys I know. And and they compete with the guys as well. So you know what I mean? Like, I saw so complete.
It's a co-ed surf contest. I mean, we got smoked by Justine in the first contest.
Yeah.
Like she, like Kadi said, I mean, there's nothing that separates them. It's pretty. I love how they put the male and female together in the Nazare events, because like what Kadi just said, like they're, I mean, like I said, my scores didn't come anywhere near Justine's scores in the first contest. She destroyed me,
Yeah. I don't see, and I think that's cool. I think that's great. I think it's a great example, like, for everyone. I think like they're leading the way, and I think that's a really cool thing, like you're saying, like them being in the same contest and stuff. I think
it shows like any females out there, and especially in the New York surfing scene, it's definitely a lot more females than ever before. And my mom, like, she was she had 4 boys, and mom and dad, and growing up every Sunday mom made us have to teach surfing to all the girls in town. And she's here tonight. But like every single Sunday we had to teach the girls to surf in the morning, and it sucked because we were little and they had cooties, and they were using all of our boards, and the waves were always good, and we were like push them into waves, and mom was all stoked, and she had her girls, and then this is like before the cell phones and stuff. So it was like, so you're just like waiting, and like and then finally at like 11:30, 12, they're like, mom's like, okay, yeah, thank you for your help. And then they would just be chilling, and like all the girls would. So it was always in my life, like the female surfing pride in New York. And it's amazing to see like the level that it's getting to now. And just how many. It's insane. It's incredible. It's a beautiful thing right now.
So we're going to switch now from the kids, and we're just going to go to the other side of the equation. So, Kadi, I'm watching episode 6 of I mean, it's just a phenomenal show, The 100-Foot Wave. And the one thing that jumps out at me, your parents, your mom and your dad, actually come out to Nazare to watch you. And to see the way your mom looked at you, your dad there, like the pride, like, yeah, that's my kid. The way, I mean, it just sort of jumped off the screen at me. How much did it mean to you to have your mom and dad come over to Nazare to watch you do this? And had they gotten to watch you surf before? And what was that like?
No, that was really cool. Like, my parents have always been really supportive, but they've never they've never been to watch me big wave surf, and they've never. Yeah, it's the first time they sort of really watched me compete, or probably actually even surf. My dad used to take me to the beach a lot, but it was cool. It was cool, and I was stoked. They they're both, you know, getting a bit older, and it was like, and my dad, although he's never really, you know, he never really thought it would be a job or do earn any money out of it, or it was a possibility. Hence, you know, like, you know, the plumbing career and stuff. But, you know, so I think it was like a full circle, and it's quite cool for him to see that, you know, like, so yeah, it was cool.
Very cool. And Will, of course, you know,
Who believed in you the most, like mom or dad? I'm curious. I'm
I don't
sorry.
say like,
no, go.
Yeah,
That's good.
Who was like, go surf Nazare? Or who calls you and is like worried?
I wouldn't say like that. It was just, I think, like for me, like, I'm so glad my dad, because I was in a really bad cycle with, I was like, I worked in the surf industry for 10 years. I left school at 15. Worked in the surf industry, and I worked for 10 months, traveled for 2. And you'd work that 10 months, you'd save $3,000, and then you'd spend that $3,000 in that 2 months, and then you'd come back and you'd be at zero again. and I was just in that cycle. So come 25, my dad was just like, you know, it was like, you got to get out of that cycle. Cause like, so you got to get a trade, you got to get a proper job, you got to earn some money. And it was actually, although that 5 years, you know, 25 to 30, I didn't surf a lot. You know, I did get a trade, I did earn some money, but it actually learnt me some really valuable lessons, which was, you know, one, money wasn't everything. and two is that, like, if you're not doing something you really like or enjoy, which for me was plumbing, like, I did it and it earned good money, but I hated it. And it was like, you're just never going to be, you know, happy, and that motivated me to like make surfing work. You know, like, if I wasn't gonna be professional, it was gonna be bigger in my life. You know, like, so yeah.
That's cool. So like, that kind of
Tap it out.
Yeah. So that's cool. I like, you know. So like, brought you to where you are today.
Yeah.
Those
So
5 years.
Yeah. So if my dad hadn't forced me to like get a trade and get a proper job, I'd probably still be in a cycle, you know, like of work, surf, and it was a great cycle. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was a great cycle.
That's like the outcome thing. Like, if there's, you know, you don't know if it's good or bad unless you know the outcome, right? So like, at the moment in time, you're all, man, I don't want to be plumbing, but then the outcome is you are a pioneer of the biggest wave.
It just motivates you to sort of, okay, right, I've got to, you know, if I want to surf more, or I've got to make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you step away from something you love, you realize how much you love it. Mm-hmm. Just being that little bit of separation. You know, so somewhat of a completely different situation for you, Will, where your parents have always been involved. And, you know, for those of you that are here live, you know this, but those of you that are watching, Will's dad and mom are right here, Dave and Beth, and two of my favorite people on the planet. And they've always been very supportive. But even, you know, like, let's clap it up. So there we go. There we go. So, but even you, Will, it must be just amazing. Like, your mom has come to Nazare to watch you surf. And
no, she hasn't been there yet.
Oh, you haven't been there? I thought you were there.
No.
It's everywhere but Nazare. So that's the next trip for you, Beth. All right, so we're going to make that happen.
Coach Mom.
Coach Mom.
She would come to the paddle events.
Yeah.
That's where she does her best coaching. I don't want her on the radio at Nazare. Yeah. I think mom and dad taught me some, like, if you were to like be watching this and you have kids and stuff, and like I think the biggest things for mom and dad was, you know, dad always made me work for everything I ever got in my life, whether it was chores around the house or if I didn't want a lifeguard, I had to go busboy. You know, I had to make money. If I wanted to go to Mavericks, I had to buy my own plane ticket. He wasn't going to buy it for me. If it wasn't Christmas or my birthday, I wasn't getting a gift. So I thought that was really cool because I always had to work for something. I always had to work for it. And sometimes he would surprise me, and even though I saved up the money, he would get the ticket, and he probably tricked me with that a few times. And then mom always, you know, dad showed me that, and then mom took care of the needs, but as long as I made my own bed, did my own dishes. And I think that was really important too, because she would make sure that we were fed and on swim practice on time and stuff like that. But like after Sunday dinner, like we were doing the dishes, you know, and if you didn't make your bed before you went to school, like, so like the little things like that for me, it's like those were super important. And something I look back on now, like, and even like saying prayers before dinner, and before bed, you know, like, you know, that was like overkill when I was young. I'm like, what the, you know, but now that became the best relationship of my life, you know, just relying on God. So, yeah. So, I mean, those are the lessons I learned. So yeah, just make your kids do the dishes and make your own bed because,
and then they'll be able to surf Nazare.
Yeah. Well, if you do good dishes and you do the dishes anywhere you travel, people don't forget that.
That's true.
So you'll have places to stay anywhere the rest of your life. So I recommend that.
Yeah, be a good guest.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, so we've been together for a while now. I want to just check with Jay. Jay, any questions? Any questions from the audience that you guys want to get in? Yeah, we got one in the back. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you. This is absolutely phenomenal tonight. I recently saw this guy on TV called Kalani, who actually went to Nazare and with a pair of flippers actually body surfed. Any comment?
I tried to rescue him like 6 times. And he's like, no, I'm good. No, I'm not even joking. I'm like, why is there some, and I juice him with the jet ski. And he's like, no, Will, it's me. I'm like, oh, Kalani, keep doing this to me. But I think like Kalani's a waterman and he's a body surfer. And if you Google him, you'll see the wavy body surf at Jaws. And he's a phenomenon. He's just the ultimate waterman, you know, like body surf, bodyboard, surf, but even good stand-up surfer as well. And yeah, it always takes, like, it's not possible until it's possible, you know, like with stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, like when you say, oh, someone's going to body surf Nazare or even body surf Jaws, you'd be like, nah, it's not possible. But then he goes and does it. Then he bottom turns on his belly. So yeah, that's pretty. It's amazing, and it's a testament to, like, you know, you could be a great surfer, like through and through, but you take the board away, and how are you in the ocean? And I think that's something to celebrate. So yeah, Kalani, hats off to Kalani, because, you know, that's he swims out on those giant days from the beach.
Phenomenal.
But, like, you know, and that's why I said it earlier, like, if I wasn't comfortable swimming out, I shouldn't be out there. But I'm not doing it. You know, but I can. But I'm definitely not going to be body surfing. And maybe I will. I don't know. Kalani always tries to, because I do a lot of body surfing myself, but he always is like, come on, Will. So maybe I'll just go swim next to him one day. But he's an incredible waterman. Sure. Great question. Great.
Yep. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you process fear differently than when you're in the water than when you're not? And is it different now as opposed to when you were younger?
So just repeating that for other people that couldn't necessarily hear. The question is, how do you process fear, and is that different for you now? Excellent question.
So I think fear is really good. Like I embrace, I like it, I have it. I get super scared. Like I'm not like. I think sort of Garrett sort of said to me once that he sometimes he doesn't get scared or something like that, or he doesn't have fear, but I get really scared, but also like, you know, like having that ambition or something that was, the feeling of pushing through fear and doing something is so much better than like having that fear and not doing it. And like when you get back to the harbour, and if I haven't done something or I haven't pushed through that barrier, and that doesn't have to be about surfing. It can be about anything. Like I can remember like doing like my first talk. Like I was hated talking at school and stuff. Like, you know, like I was, but pushing through a fear, and then afterwards you're like, whoa, like feels good. Feels great to test that. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We always say the best part about big wave surfing is 10 minutes after. Yeah, I think that's it's a great question. Because fear is it's paralyzing, right? Like you can get to a certain level where you have so much fear in you where you can't move. But that means there's so much energy built into your brain that your body can't move, or like you're frozen, right? Of fear, like you're so scared. That means, so if you can somehow figure out a way to channel that level of energy and turn it into drive, that's, it takes time, but yeah, I feel like that's.
I have found like that the things that I have found that is breathing is really like, so really sort of like thinking about breathing and nasal breathing and breathing like out longer than you breathe in, and making sure you're using your whole belly rather than just like your top of your lungs. And there's loads of little tricks which I've learned over the time to help keep you calm and help to keep the heart rate down and help to keep you focused and sort of manage fear so it doesn't take over, like over your body where like but you still have it. You just managing that little bit, and that breathing, and that like optimizing your body, what you have, optimizing your lungs. I think sometimes we sort of forget, or we have the whole lungs. We just sort of breathe here, like this top bit, and so it's about using all your lungs.
And the visualization too. Yeah, like I feel like if you've already been there before, then you're not going to be scared, right? So like, we're not gonna, you're not gonna know the guy's gonna jump out of the closet and scare you, right? It jumps out, it scares you, right? But if you visualized that happening, then when it happens, you're not scared because you knew it was gonna happen. Like, that's a bad example, but like if you take yourself through the worst case scenarios or your fears, and you go through them and you visualize them, and they really happened, and they happened, and you made them happen in your brain, then when you're faced those fears, you already lived them. So the visualization of like, I've been here before. The only reason we panic or we're like, oh my God, I'm so scared, is because it catches us off guard. We haven't been there before. So, the day before a big day of waves or whatever fears you're coming into, like, close your eyes, put yourself in the worst case scenario, going to that trip or going somewhere, and go through that worst case scenario and get yourself out of it in your head. And then if that ever does happen, you did it already. So that's always helped me.
Yeah. I think also, and it is possible to enjoy your worst, like, and that's like, it doesn't have to be, fear is just an emotion. It's actually also excitement, and I've actually got a really, I don't want to go on too much, but I learned this from Garrett really early on, surfing in Nazare. We'd been surfing all day. It was just me and him. It was giant. I'd already had a big wipeout. I was a little bit like, I was over it. I was done, but I was towing him around for hours. He caught like 50 odd waves, and then he wanted to paddle, and so I was going to do safety for him while he paddled, and the set comes, and he's like, am I on the spot? And I just was like, and obviously when you start paddling, and you got to be really under it, so it's like, a few feet either way. One, you're not going to get it, and two, you're going to get it on the head. Yes. Like, so he's like asking me this, shouting it to me, and I'm like, yeah, you're in the spot, but he wasn't, and the wave like was going to break on him, but I didn't have time to rescue him, and this is way before like inflation vests and stuff, and he just had like a real, like one of those, used to wear these float suits with like loads of float in it, and this wave like looms up, and he tries to swim under this wave with this float suit. He's like a massive cork, and I just see him go over, like literally get sucked up and just go over the falls on like this 50-foot wave, and I'm like, oh my God, like I've never seen anyone. That was the gnarliest thing I've ever seen, and I was petrified. I felt like I let him down, like a bad call on my part. And I go in to rescue him. He didn't even pop up. Another wave comes over, like, so he's like a 2-wave hold down. And then I'm like really like, whoa. So I'm going to rescue him, and I was expecting him to be, one, like angry at me, two, shaken up, and he just like almost shoots out the water, you know, like with his float suit on, and he was just like a massive smile, like, whoa, man, like that was the gnarliest thing. Like, and I was like, he actually enjoyed that. Like, is he insane? Like he's just, and that was it. I was like, whoa, like you've really got to enjoy the worst possible situation. Like he's learnt to enjoy that, and that's what gives him the edge, or that's what gives you the edge to push it in big waves. Is like you have to enjoy those worst moments to have the opportunity to successfully ride the biggest, you know.
That's a crazy story.
It's a crazy story.
Oh, Garrett is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's why we all love that show, you know?
Yeah.
I like it because of Cuddy. No, I ain't Garrett now.
All right, so we've been together quite a while, and you know, I'm going to steal a little bit here from my great friend Tyler Brewer. He likes to end these things on sort of a light note, so I'm just I'm gonna work off Tyler's script. So surfers use a lot of slang. What's your favorite surf term, surf word?
Oh my god, I think probably like, I think I use stoked too much. I think.
Is that your favorite one?
Favorite one?
Oh, but it's my favorite one to use, even if maybe I don't like it. You know, I always say stoked. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about you, Will?
I guess like epic.
Epic.
I just drop that all day long, every day.
Yeah.
I think I've heard you say that a few times.
What about your favorite? What about emoji? Do you have a go-to emoji?
It varies between like the shaka, maybe
Yeah.
a heart. I use a heart quite a lot now. So.
Yeah, yeah. I do heart chaka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heart chaka, there you go.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I got to tell you, I am stoked to be here right in between you two guys. And for right now, that is my favorite surf word. I want to thank both of you for being here. I want to thank the audience for being here as well. And I want to remind everybody, this event is all to benefit Surf for All. Go to surfforall.org or just Google surfforall.org Long Beach. And you will find a way to donate. Thank you all for being here. And thank you to our guests.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Will.
Thanks, Will.
Florida Media.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
Yeah, I just want a big shout out to Jay Belsky. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, thanks, man. Clap it up.
First event.